It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running here, another edition of Musso at the box. LSU, they sweep their way through the weekend against North Alabama, winning 13-2 on Friday night, 6-2 Saturday, and wrapping it up with an 11-5 victory on Sunday. Plenty of good coming out of this weekend. That was your final pre-conference weekend for you welcome in Missouri here this coming week at the box. But there's also a few things you look at and you kind of want a few answers with. So we'll kind of go through all of it. We've obviously kind of recapped Friday and Saturday already on our immediate reaction post games. Today we'll focus much more in on Sunday's ball game, but plenty of takeaways to get into. We're presented by Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Be sure to subscribe, share if you have not already. Subscribe on the YouTube channel, but also your favorite podcast app. Anywhere you get your podcast apps, the show is there. Follow me on social media, and we will go ahead and dive right into it. So, beginning with Sunday, LSU wins it 11-5. Chase Shores towed the rubber, and what we wanted to see from Chase Shores going into this game was a little bit more length and where you could get the pitch count up to. It is a mixed bag because you got the pitch count up to 94, which is very, very, very good. You would like to see, again, a little bit more frequency of strike, a little bit more consistency with the strike. But overall, 58 strikes and 94 pitches, that's not bad. So you got the pitch count up. You didn't necessarily get the length out of it. You had a long third inning there, and that really hampered Shores' outing. And we'll get into what went wrong there and things of that nature. But ultimately, it is 5 innings for the 4th straight time. He did get his 4th win of the season. And he pitched himself out of a lot of trouble and had some misfortune along the way. This is really the second consecutive week you can look at this and say, man, Chase Shores probably pitched better than his line indicated. The 9 hits stand out from Shores that he allowed, but not all of those hits were created equal, and that's just a product of the way that Chase Shores pitches. And the last couple of weeks, that's really, really hampered him. So, if you look at his outing, and we'll just start in the top of the 1st inning. He strikes out the first hitter he faces swinging, then gives up the single to the right side, a much more solid single to right center field, but gets Kraska to ground into an inning-ending double play and pitches right out of it. You fast forward from there to the 3rd inning, and after a fly out, you give up a double down the line, and that one was hit solidly, and it was the 2nd time that Lane had seen him. And again, that was hit solidly. You walk ripping, and that's really where the issues were compounded, because until then, Chase Shores had pitched around any bit of trouble. You know, he walked a guy in the 2nd, but it was already with 1 out, and you're able to easily pitch around that, strike out, pop out. Again, we mentioned you strike out the first hitter, then give up the back-to-back singles, 1 hit hard, 1 hit not so hard. You get the ground ball, you pitch away from it. What you didn't do here was stop the bleeding immediately after that double. Instead, you got ahead 0-1 and then lost the guy on the next 4 and walked him. And then the misfortune starts for Shores, where Delgado hits a 3-hopper off the end of the bat on the ground that sneaks through the middle of the infield and drives in a run. Kraska follows that up with a softly hit 2-hopper that beats the shift on the left side and gets through. If you're playing at your normal positioning, it is a ground ball to short, and you likely turn 2 because Kraska does not run well. And you're out of that inning with just 1 run. But because of the shift and not executing the pitch where you wanted to and allowing Kraska to be able to poke it, and that's all he did was poke it the other way, well, it's an RBI single. That's Chase Shores got a ground ball that he needed. You were just out of position because you were trying to, play the percentages and the odds. It's one of the reasons I don't love the shift in college baseball. But so that happens. Then Wilson comes up and just hits a flare that just gets over Jones's glove and drops in to right field, like just past the infield dirt. That's 3 softly hit singles in a row that have kept this inning going for Chase Shores, and all of them early in the count. Delgado, 1-1. Kraska, 1-1. Wilson was down 0-2. Again, would you like a little bit better execution there on 0-2 from Chase Shores? Yes. So there is some blame to go there. But no one scored on that because there was a chance it was going to be caught by LSU. It was just out of their reach. Everybody had to hold up. And then you credit Shores after that. He falls behind the next hitter 2-0, comes all the way back to strike him out with the bases loaded. That was a huge moment from Chase Shores. And then Major pops out to the pitcher, just another weak flare. Shores didn't even leave the mound and caught the ball. So in that inning where you look up and you see 4 hits, one of them was hit hard. The other 3, not, and then the other out, besides the strikeout, was a pop-up to the pitcher. A lot of weak contact and a lot of misfortune that was created, but also Chase Shores not executing as, finely as you would like in that inning. It led to some of it as well. But he also pitched out of it and stranded the bases loaded when the game could have gotten away, and that was huge. And what was even better from Shores was he responded with back-to-back zeros after that. Gets the first 2 guys out in the 4th, pitches around a single, and then in the 5th, leadoff single on the infield, so another swinging, weak contact bunt just right off the cap of the bat, but then goes fly out, single, infield fly, strikeout. Pitches around it very well. Went through the lineup. Let's see. Went through the lineup almost 3 complete times, even without, his best stuff. And I think you can look at this and you can wonder, okay, is Chase Shores the guy in the rotation right now? And I think he still is. Like, I'm not expecting any change to LSU starting rotation as we go through this week into Missouri. Because while there's been some misfortune there and there are some things you want to clean up, Chase Shores was also pitching very well. Like, until that 3rd inning, the pitch count was in great shape. And he did walk 2, but they were spread around. It wasn't like he was just walking guy after guy after guy, kind of like you saw a little bit against Sam Houston State in Frisco. So that was good. And ultimately, there was some weak contact that found holes. Chase Shores is going to give up contact. For a guy who throws 98, it's not overpowering because it's got a lot of sink to it. It's going to induce the ground balls. LSU's going to have to play great defense behind Shores. For the most part, they did. I mean, the 2 errors that LSU committed weren't when Chase Shores was in the game. That's where you look at him and you go, okay, if they're going to shift for you, you got to pitch to the shift a little bit better. But again, it's college baseball. One of the reasons I don't like the shift in college baseball is these are college pitchers. They're not going to execute at the level all the time like a major leaguer, does. It's why the shift got banned in Major League Baseball, because it was working too well. But overall, I look at the 5 innings from Chase Shores. I think he pitched pretty well. There was some misfortune wrapped in there, but he didn't let it beat him. He didn't let it, get him down. And ultimately, he pitched fine throughout. So I give LSU's weekend rotation an A for the week. I mean, we go back and look at it on Friday, and y'all, Cade Anderson was awesome. He gave you 6 complete. First time this season, made it through the lineup, or got through, not 3 full times, but started a third trip through the lineup, and it went much more successfully for him than it had. And I understand it's North Alabama, fine. But guess what? The guy wasn't being able to get through a lineup fully against Omaha, who's not good either. I'm not telling you he's going to go out there and absolutely dominate Arkansas and Tennessee and all this. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I feel a lot better about Cade Anderson in that Friday night role heading into SEC play because I saw him get through 6 complete than I would have if it would have fallen apart for him in that inning for a third consecutive week. Remember, he only went 5, pitch count and all that opening week. The next 2, 6th inning was the issue. So for him to get through that inspires confidence. He's shown that he can do it. Yes, against North Alabama, but I don't care. Baseball is an average. The entire season, it is. Like earned run average, batting average, walks per 9, Ks per 9. Everything is broken down on an average because you're trying to be as consistent as you can over a long season while knowing failure is going to come. Cade Anderson might have a great season in the SEC, but get shelled against Arkansas. That might happen. That doesn't mean he had a bad year. It means he had a rough game because rough games happen. But going forward, watching him clear that hurdle, the one hurdle that had really been in his way in the pre-conference, that inspires confidence for me in him going forward. And that's why I needed to see that this week. So check. Anthony Ianson got you through 7 innings, season high for Ianson, struck out 15. That splitter was absolutely filthy in that game. And he found the consistency earlier. Would you have loved to have seen him throw up the 0 in the first inning? Of course. But once he settled in on those final 2 outs of the first, he was nails. We talked about it. North Alabama did not get a hit the rest of the ballgame. They got the 2 hits in the first. They didn't get a hit the rest of the way. And then we just talked about Chase Shores. So I like what I saw from all 3 of those guys in their final audition before you head in to conference play. And you'll face Missouri, and Missouri's not very good, but they've got some talent on that team and obviously will present a step up in competition. So to see what those 3 guys were able to do, that's big. In the bullpen, and I know we haven't gotten to the offense yet, and we will. In the bullpen, hard to not like what you saw. You look at Zach Cowan, he continues to roll along. 5 strikeouts and 2 shutout. Did have the walk. Okay, whatever. You feel real good about Zach Cowan going forward. On Sunday, Jaden Newt was awesome. I loved seeing that from Jaden Newt. That's a guy we wanted to see have the bounce back, and boy, did you. He was dominant out of the pen. Comes in, gets Delgado swinging, never trailed in that count. Gets Petey Kraska to fly out on 3 pitches, never trailed in that count, and then strikes out Wilson swinging to end the frame, never trailed in that count. He was dominant. The breaking ball was crisp. The fastball was up to 94. That's what it can be with Jaden Newt. That's why you look at that guy and you keep running him out there right now, because he can be a real shot in the arm for this team if he's pitching like that. That's what it can look like. He was awesome. Thought Connor Binge acquitted himself very, very well. He walked the first guy he faced out of the bullpen. That's a big no-no. I never want to see that. And he wasn't really competitive ever in the count, but he came back, strikes out the next guy, 1-2, huge, gets another strikeout of Lane, leadoff hitter, one that he had to really battle for. That was a great at bat, but he ends up winning that battle and then gets the fly out. So, again, when I look at Connor Benj, he was very successful. Would I have liked to have seen him be a little bit more efficient with the strikes? Sure. 19 pitches, 9 strikes. That's not necessarily where you want to be. That's 10 balls, right? But he battled through it and succeeded. And that's a guy you're going to see plenty of is Connor Benj. Then Cooper Williams. Man, Williams had some rough luck. I thought he actually pitched really well. And the error by Mikey Ryan, he should have been out of the inning, and ultimately it allowed a run scored. Now, the 2 walks were rough. You don't love those 2 walks in the middle of the outing. So there's still some growing there, but he bared down, made a pitch that should have got him out of the inning, and it rolled through your shortstop. Credit to him. He did not let that snowball on him. Strikes out the very next guy he faces. So that, for me, one of the better outings we've seen from Cooper Williams in a while. And then, man, Chandler Dorsey, again, just some bad luck. He gets what looks like a routine ground ball to shortstop. This time, Michael Braswell lets it roll up his arm, and you have an error, and you end up with 2 unearned runs scoring there. So LSU gave up 5. 3 of them were unearned. Those were charged to Cooper Williams and to Chandler Dorsey. So, look, I was encouraged by what I saw from Benj. Again, you just want a few more strikes. I was encouraged by what I saw from Jaden Newt. I mean, that was outside of Zach Cowan, that was the most encouraging bullpen outing of the weekend was Newt. And then I was very much encouraged with Cooper Williams, albeit those 2 walks in the middle of the outing. You want those to go away, but that's a freshman that they want to be able to count on. And ultimately, he had some rough luck where he should have been out of the inning and then pitched around it quite nicely. Cooper Williams has still not given up an earned run so far on the season. The walks have been the problem for him. So that's what you need to see. Cooper Williams still hasn't given up a hit on the young season. If he can hone in and keep the walk number down, you really like where you're heading. Speaking of which, LSU this weekend, another A in the walk column for them. I wanted to see it. I saw it. That was big. That was really, really big. LSU walked 10 batters over the course of 3 games. You'll take that. You got a little out of hand on Sunday, but that's probably going to happen more often than not on Sundays, just because of where you are with your pitching staff, things of that nature. Now, LSU was in a really good spot with theirs, but that's better. That's better than the 21 free passes or whatever it was that you issued in 2 games against North Dakota State. That's better than the 22 free passes you issued over the weekend in Frisco. They got back on track. Now, what does that mean? I think that tells you that LSU's somewhere in between what we saw the first 8 games of the season and what we've seen the last. They're not as dominant strike throwers as we thought right off the start of the season, but they're not as bad as you've seen the previous 5 games leading into this weekend. They are somewhere in between, and that will play plenty. So concerns there are eased a little bit heading into conference play. That's a good thing. We'll get into the offense here for LSU momentarily. Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Not just Christmas lights anymore, y'all. They've expanded. Derek and his team are now offering permanent outdoor landscape lighting for your home or your business. You need to brighten things up, improve the curb appeal of either home or business. Maybe you just redid some flower beds. Spring is coming. Gotlit Light Installers can help you with that. Again, spring coming. Maybe you just put in a pool, redid the backyard. You need landscape lighting for that. Gotlit Light Installers. Go to gotlitlights.com, get a quote, work with Derek and his team, and see the great customer service and relationship building I tell you about here every single day. Anyone can come install lights. Gotlit Lights, they want to get to know you. They value the customer. Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. And again, temporary outdoor lighting for any event, party you might be hosting, Gotlit Lights can do that for you as well. Custom design, cut to fit, gotlitlights.com. Offensively for LSU this weekend, that conversation starts with Bear Jones. Actually, that conversation of the entire week starts with Jared Jones. He was phenomenal for 5 games this week against North Dakota State and North Alabama. Jared Jones in 5 games, 473, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 9 RBI, 9 runs scored. He walked 3 times and just struck out twice. He has been awesome. You saw him use the opposite field more with power. I think he had three of his 4 home runs this week went to the opposite field. And they were all different. Like the 2 on Wednesday night against North Dakota State were just shots. The one Sunday, he muscled the ball out. Like he got jammed and still had enough power and strength to get it over the fence and inside the foul line. I thought there was no chance the ball was getting out of the park. I mean, Jones stood there at the plate. I thought it was just way foul. And you keep watching the right fielder go back, and it goes out. And that jump started a huge inning for LSU, a 4 spot in the first. But then you go back to Saturday, and Jared Jones absolutely destroys the ball into the parking lot in left field. He's seeing it. And the power's coming back. He's using all fields, and the strikeout total has never been lower for him in his career. Jared Jones, through 4 pre-conference weekends, has struck out 8 times and walked 15. That's massive. And because of that, you're seeing him hit 429. So Jared Jones is your offensive player of the week for LSU. I mean, he was magnificent. Like in that 473 included an 0 for 5 where he smoked the ball and it just kept getting caught. He is really, really seeing it. Josh Pearson. Josh Pearson had a whale of a week as well. Obviously highlighted by the 2 homers, none bigger than the grand slam that came in the 6th inning on Sunday. And what a great offensive inning that was. But I mean, you're looking for separation. Y'all, if there's a righty on the mound, Josh Pearson is your DH. And you even got to see him out in the outfield on Sunday as well. He started in left. Obviously, Curiel DH'd, and you saw Brown and Stanfield in their normal spots in center and right. There's so many ways you can get Pearson's bat in the lineup. Right now, it needs to be. And I'm even willing to say, even if there's a lefty on the bump. Because now he's tapping back into that power a little bit that you saw his freshman season. And he's hitting for average early in the year for the first time in his career. Josh Pearson is set up through the first quarter of this season to have a really, really good one. And it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see. Stephen Milam continues his hot streak. Milam went yard again. So he's up to 4 homers, little solo shot there in the, what was that? It was the 4th inning of the game Sunday. Great to see. And y'all, that is the takeaway offensively from LSU this week and weekend was the power numbers. The power was back. And look, the weather's changing. It was a little chilly on Sunday. He's had a slight north wind, but overall it was quite comfortable. And the ball flew. It carried. That's what you're starting to see. The ball carry more at Alex Box Stadium. And that's always a fantastic thing when that happens. So LSU now sits 25 homers in 17 games. We've said it plenty. Wait for the weather to change, and that's really going to help this team because they don't have those multiple guys who are just raw power hitters that are going to hit 25, 28 home runs. You got Jared Jones, and he very well might. But what you have is a bunch of guys that can hit you 8 to 10, 10 to 12. And that ultimately will be plenty for this team because it'll get you around 9,500 homers in that range. And I think they're capable of this. And I think you saw that, obviously, this weekend, specifically when the weather began to change out at the box. That just adds another dimension to this offense that has been so good. I mean, LSU so far on the season has scored 170 runs. That in 17 games is 10 runs per game. That is elite. Now, you'll take a step up in competition as SEC play begins, and we'll expect that number to obviously come down a little bit. But it feels like an LSU team that can average 8 runs per game, 8.5 in that realm. In conference play. We'll see. Like throughout, I mean, when you look at their totality of the season, factoring in conference play, that they're right there, 8.5, maybe 9 runs per game. In SEC play, I think they'll score plenty as well, but you're going to face some really tough pitching as you do every year. Overall, they're ready. They're ready to go into conference play. They'll play Xavier, and we'll get you a preview of that on the next show. They'll play Xavier. That'll be your final tune-up that ends pre-conference. And then you'll welcome in the Missouri Tigers. But all in all, y'all, they passed with flying colors on the final pre-conference weekend. Now the real season starts, the 30-game grind of conference play. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Be sure to smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. That's greatly appreciated as well. Just search Musso at the Box. Be here next time for more. Presented by Gauntlet Light Installers. It's Musso at the Box.